Hey guys, today I want to do a review of the Samsung SmartThings Hub and go through some of the good and the bad of this hub and how I found that it works within my personal home. So I'm going to go ahead and start with just a high level of what devices I have in my house. You see I have a lot of different apps for cameras, for the Ring doorbell, my thermostat, Alexa, my Lutron lights, um, a Casa for different light switches. And I wanted to combine all of these into one app if possible. So I went out and I purchased the SmartThings Hub. So that's the center app you see there on the screen. If I go ahead and I open this, the first screen you'll see here is My Home. So on the bottom you have Dashboard, My Home, Automation, and Marketplace. The dashboard is just a quick screen for some shortcuts. I just have one option here for Good Night. You can add more. Underneath My Home, though, this is really one of the best features. So I'm going to discuss the good and the bad. Some of the good is that you can have all of your devices or a lot of your devices in one place. So you see here, right, I have my lights, my thermostats, my Ring doorbell, um, all in one place, which is really, really nice. So I can go ahead and I can, let's say, for example, turn on or off the basement lights, turn them off, put them on again, and then go ahead and change the temperature in the basement all within the same app rather than having to go into two different apps. So that's really nice, right? That's a cool feature. It works really well. Additionally, most of my lights are controlled by Lutron switches. I do have one, this night table lamp that's currently on. This is with a smart bulb. So even though it's a light switch, it is a light, it would require its own app for those bulbs. So not only can control your lights and your thermostat all in one place, but even certain lights may require a different app. So here I can combine all those in one place. It's really nice and it does that really, really well. Um, the next thing though, before we get to that, going into rooms, you do have the ability to group your lights or your thermostats into different rooms. So for example, if I go to my kitchen, I'll see here I have my ceiling lights, my island lights, as well as my first floor thermostat, which is based in the kitchen. So you can combine your different devices based on room and just categorize them like this, which is nice. Under the Family tab, I have nothing set up here, so nothing's going to load. It'll probably just circle for a minute and then give me a message saying, and nothing's been set up here. But like I said, these are the two good things so far are the list of all the things you have. You scroll to the bottom, you can add more things, and the ability to have different rooms and categorize them so you're a little bit more organized. Next positive is the Automation tab, and this is actually the reason why I bought this SmartThings Hub to begin with, but it's also the reason why I'm disappointed. Let me talk about the good first. The first good thing is that, let's say you want in the morning, every morning you want certain lights to go on or go off, you want the temperature to change, so you can create different automations to occur based on either your actions or time of day. So let's take a look at the good morning. You click on the little gear icon there, and you can see that I have certain lights that go on and certain lights that go off in the morning. Now, this can be triggered either by me pushing this button that says good morning or based on time of day. So if you scroll down, where it says automatically perform good morning, I can have this performed every morning at a certain time, at sunrise or sunset. Or I can have it if someone comes, someone's leaving, if a button is pushed. There's all sorts of different triggers that can control this set of actions. But not only can you have your certain lights go on or off, you can also have them dim. So I can set my dimmers to a certain level. Um, the downside of this though is that this will apply to all the lights that go on. So if you want to have your dimmers set to 50%, that's going to set all the lights, all those, the night table, the kitchen ceiling, kitchen island, family room lights that you see on top here, all those lights will be dimmed to 50%. You can't apply it to just some of them. I can set my thermostat to a certain temperature. So in the morning, if I want to, I can set which basement, first floor, second floor. I can set those when it's heating, when it's cooling, and it's all within one automation. So I'm going to go ahead and leave. I'm not going to make those changes. Let's go back for a second. Similarly, you can have a good night mode. So when I go to sleep at night, I can click good night. It could raise my thermostat or lower it. It can turn off lights. If I had my alarm synced with this, it can turn on my alarm. So that's really nice. This is really one of the benefits and one of the reasons why I bought this. One of the real reasons actually is for the goodbye mode. With this, I'll transition into some of the negatives of why I don't necessarily love the SmartThings Hub. So I realized that I was going away for a few days and I wanted to do certain things in the house, like turn off lights, lower my thermostat, um, and I wanted to do that really quickly and easily rather than going in to each of the separate apps. So I created a goodbye mode where when I push it, it keeps two lights on, my front porch and my kitchen island lights on, so that the house isn't completely dark. But then it turns off all my other lights that you see here. It'll actually set the kitchen and porch lights to 40% dim, so it's not full blast, and it'll set my thermostat if it's heating to 69, so I'm not really heating the house too much. If I'm cooling it, it's going to only cool it down to 78, so I'm not really going to be heating or cooling the house too much, just enough to keep it somewhat regulated. Um, It'll also change my mode to away. There's no automation to this tab. I haven't having to push the button, so this doesn't happen automatically. And then I could also rename goodbye. I can rename it to something else if I like. So this was great. Going away for a couple of days. Let's go back here. So as I'm pulling out of my driveway, I can simply click this goodbye button and it'll automate the house. The downside, though, is a few things. Number one is if you want the lights to go on or off while you're away, you can't do that. So when I push this button, it's going to turn on these first two lights you see here, and it's going to turn off these lights that you see here. But that'll remain throughout the duration while I'm away, unless I have another automation set up to have them go off or on. So those two lights that I have set to go on, I don't want those to be on during the day. I don't need to waste money, have them on during the day. I only want them at night while I'm gone so that the house looks a little bit lived in and a little bit lit up. There is no way to do that within this SmartThings app. You cannot have them go on or off within the same automation. So I would actually have to go ahead and go back to the automation screen and create more routines to have those lights go on or off depending on the time of day. So that to me sort of defeated the purpose. I wanted to be able to push one button and have it set it for while I'm gone. The lights go on, lights go off, and it would be really nice, but you can't do that. All you can do is have the lights go on or off, and it'll remain that way throughout the duration until something changes it. The next thing is it can also set the temperature, like I said, to 69 or 78 degrees. But when I come home and I click on back, so I click that, it's going to set the temperature back to 75, which in my house is fairly comfortable. You see it goes 75 when it's hot, 75 when it's cool, and it does that for the first floor and second floor. Interesting though is that for most people I find is that most people's thermostat are on a schedule. I happen to have a schedule that during the day the temperature is a little more comfortable. At night on the floors where there are no bedrooms, like the basement or the first floor, the temperature goes up or down. So I'm not heating or cooling those when no one's there during the nighttime. But now what this does is that it sets a permanent hold at these temperatures, and there's no way to have it go back to your schedule without going back to your list of devices, going back to your list of things, clicking on basement, and then clicking resume schedule in the bottom right corner here. Unfortunately, that cannot be done in the automation. So all you can do in the automation tab is set a permanent hold. So when I click on back, what's going to do once again is going to set a permanent hold at 75 degrees. But if I normally have that go up or down, let's say at midnight when we're sleeping, that won't take place. It's going to be a permanent hold at 75 degrees. If you want to have that go back, you have to go back to each one of your thermostats. So here I did basement, then I have to go back to my first floor, and I have to manually click resume schedule. So I didn't like that. I think that's should be part of the automation to go back to your schedule. Similarly with your second floor, I'm going to go click resume schedule. That I did not like at all. Another thing which I was disappointed in is in my automation. If doesn't make, I'll just choose one of these at random. Let's say I'm back. So if I wanted to, based on my location, I can have it automatically perform on back when I arrive. So when someone arrives, when I click here, for some reason it will not let me do this. It says you can't currently add this, and I have no idea why. So that's also another reason why I was somewhat disappointed. I should also point out that if I go back to my Lutron app, if I go to my home screen here on my phone and I open up my Lutron app, many of the features that you just saw, such as the ability to trigger based on location, group the rooms together, based on group your or divide your lights together based on room, that all exists already in the Lutron app. So the SmartThings Hub really wasn't adding much. I already had the ability to group it by room and the ability to set things like this, arriving and leaving home. So I didn't need the SmartThings app to do that. Now I will add that there are other light solutions that don't give you this ability, but in my case with Lutron that I already had, I could do this myself. I didn't need SmartThings. It didn't really add much to it. Let's go back to SmartThings just for a second here. So that just gives some of the good and the bad. As I mentioned, just to recap, some of the good is that you do have the ability to turn on all your lights and your thermostat in one place. It works great. However, the automations are somewhat limited, so you can have things go on or off based on certain criteria, but not everything works perfectly, and it doesn't have the ability to do things like turn lights on and off within the same automation, and it does have the limitation of setting your thermostat to a permanent hold instead of putting it back on the schedule. Another thing that which I thought was interesting is that I have my Ring doorbell. If I scroll through here, you see it says front door here. This is my front door, my Ring Pro doorbell. Within here, I have an automation which is pretty nice that I can, when someone rings the doorbell, the porch lights go on to 80%. And this only happens when someone pushes the button, the doorbell button, and it happens after sunset. I don't need this happening during the day. So if someone rings my doorbell after sunset, the porch lights will go on so that that person's not standing outside in the dark. I really like that feature, and it's pretty nice. But I will add that if someone rings the doorbell, I can't see them within the SmartThings app. I still need to then go ahead and go back to my Ring app and open this up and look at my front door and see who's there. So it's very different. It is a limitation that although you can sync your the Ring app with SmartThings, you still cannot see who's at your front door within the SmartThings app. So that's basically a summary of what I felt the SmartThings app can do. Overall, it didn't do the trick for me. I was hoping to get a little bit more automation out of it, and I was hoping to really eliminate the need to use my other apps, and I haven't been able to. Just one last thing that I want to add is that because I do have multiple apps, for example, let's say the Lutron app, my Honeywell thermostat app, as well as the SmartThings app, it kind of messed up my Alexa settings. So I go to Amazon Alexa and I go to Smart Home and I look at my list of devices. You'll see that I have a lot of duplicates, and I had to go in and you'll see I disabled some of them. It basically duplicated all my devices because Alexa can sync with both my Lutron, my Honeywell, and SmartThings. It found everything twice. So for example, it would find my Honeywell thermostat because it's integrated with Honeywell, and it would also find my Honeywell thermostat because that was connected to my SmartThings. And I found when I would give it a command such as turn off the mudroom light, it would respond saying multiple items have been found, which one do you want? And it ended up just messing up my Alexa entirely. So I found it easier just to get rid of the SmartThings and just stick with what I had, which was the individual apps for my Lutron lights, individual apps for my Honeywell, and for my Ring Pro doorbell. And if you have other camera solutions, you still can't see the video within SmartThings. So overall, it does a decent job of bringing things together, but at the same time, it doesn't completely eliminate your other apps, so you likely are going to be somewhat disappointed. For more information, visit smarthouseguru.guru or email us at smarthouseguru@gmail.com.